Most people think muscle loss is just part of getting older. They say it's just age, I can't do what I used to. But let me tell you something straight. Muscle loss isn't age. It's what you're not doing. Science proves it. Your body isn't giving up on you. You've just stopped giving it a reason to grow. Today, we break the myth. Today, we take back control. Most people think muscle loss is some inevitable part of aging, like it's written into your DNA to get weaker just because the calendar flipped. But the truth is far more empowering than that and more honest. Muscle doesn't just vanish because you've hit 40, 50, or even 60. It fades away because it's not being used. That's it. It's not age. It's what you're not doing. See, your muscles are designed to respond to demand. They're constantly in communication with your brain, asking, are we needed? And if the answer is no, if you're sitting more than moving, if you're not lifting, pushing, pulling, walking with intensity, your muscles get the message loud and clear, we're not required here anymore. And so the body, in its infinite efficiency, starts to break down what isn't being used. That's called muscle atrophy. But here's where it gets interesting. This process doesn't have a built-in timer based on age. There are people in their 70s and 80s who are functionally stronger than some in their 30s. Why? Because they're still sending the signal. They're still moving with purpose. They're still training their body to respond. And their body does. Because muscle is not about age, it's about stimulus. Let me explain something that's often misunderstood. Muscle is biologically expensive. Your body doesn't just keep it around for fun. It requires energy, nutrients, and maintenance. If you're not using it, your body assumes it's wasting resources and it cuts back. That's not punishment. That's just your biology doing what it's been programmed to do for survival. But what does that mean for us in a modern world where survival doesn't require hunting, carrying water, climbing hills, or running from predators? It means we have to artificially recreate that stimulus. We have to challenge the body through resistance, whether that's lifting weights, doing body weight training using resistance bands, or even high intensity walking with a load. The mechanism doesn't care how you do it. It just needs to receive the message, we need this muscle, don't lose it. But most people stop sending that message. Think about it. As kids, we run, we play, we climb, we're constantly in motion. In our 20s and in the early 30s, maybe we go to the gym, do some sports, live actively, but then life happens. Work becomes sedentary, we sit more, we drive instead of walk, workouts are skipped, meals become about convenience, not function. Slowly but surely, that consistent demand placed on our muscles disappears. And with it, so does our strength, our energy, and our sense of vitality. And then what do? We blame age. Oh, I can't do what I used to. I'm getting older. But that's not entirely true. You stopped doing what you used to do. You stopped challenging your body. You stopped treating your health like a priority. And your body simply adapted to that lower demand. Now, the beautiful thing is this. Adaptation goes both ways. Just like the body adapted downward when demand disappeared, it will adapt upward when demand reappears. That's the essence of neuroplasticity and muscular adaptation. You reintroduce resistance and the brain reconnects with the muscles. You lift consistently and the muscles start rebuilding. You walk regularly and the legs strengthen. You stretch and mobilize and range of motion improves. The body is always listening, always ready to change, but only if you give it a reason. And this isn't about becoming a bodybuilder. It's not about maxing out deadlifts or spending 2 hours a day in a gym. This is about preserving your independence, your confidence, your energy. This is about walking upstairs without effort, picking up your kids or grandkids without pain, feeling strong when you wake up instead of stiff and fragile. This is about function. Inactivity is a slow erosion. And the tricky thing is, you don't notice it all at once. It doesn't scream at you. It whispers. Your walk becomes a little slower. Your posture starts to slouch. You lose balance just a little more often. The grocery bag feels a bit heavier than it used to. And before long, the life you were living becomes something you're only watching from the sidelines. But it doesn't have to be that way. You can reverse the trend. And you don't have to wait for a perfect moment to do it. You just need to start today by sending a different signal. Move more. Challenge your muscles. Give your body a reason to preserve what you have and rebuild what you've lost. I've seen people in their 60s do their first push-up. People in their 70s pick up resistance training and regain the ability to walk without pain. I've seen once sedentary individuals wake up and decide they're no longer going to accept the slow decline, and their bodies respond in amazing ways. Because again, muscle loss isn't age, it's absence of action. So next time you catch yourself saying, I'm too old for this, remember this truth. Your muscles don't care about your birth certificate. They care about your behavior. They care about what you're doing today. And every time you move, every time you lift, stretch, walk, or train, you're casting a vote for strength, a vote for mobility, a vote for vitality. It doesn't require perfection. It requires intention. You don't need to become an athlete overnight. You just need to stop doing nothing. Because the worst enemy of muscle isn't time, it's inactivity. Let's talk about one of the biggest lies that keeps people stuck in a weakened, defeated state as they age. The belief that their best days are behind them, that strength, energy, and vitality are things reserved only for the young. That once you pass a certain age, you just have to accept decline like it's some kind of punishment for getting older. That belief is not only outdated, it's completely wrong. In fact, the science says the exact opposite. Your body is capable of adapting, rebuilding, and growing at any age as long as you keep sending it the right signals. Your body is not counting candles on a birthday cake. It's measuring input, what you're doing, how consistently you're doing it, and whether that input demands improvement or decline. Muscle responds to load, always has, always will, and your nervous system. Your brain's connection to your muscles remains trainable, adaptable, and fully functional well into your later years. This isn't wishful thinking. This is biology. You don't lose the capacity to build muscle with age. You lose it when you stop trying. I've watched people in their 60s, 70s, and 80s add strength, mobility, and lean mass to their bodies after decades of inactivity. These aren't genetic anomalies. They're not superhumans. They're regular people who made a choice to show up, move their bodies, lift something heavier than yesterday, and feed their systems with the right inputs. They proved a simple but powerful truth. Effort doesn't expire. The concept is called muscle protein synthesis, your body's ability to repair and grow muscle tissue. And guess what? That process can be stimulated in older adults just like in younger ones. It might take a little more consistency, a little more attention to nutrition, maybe a bit longer recovery time, but the mechanism still works. Your body is still listening. It's just waiting for a reason to respond. But when you don't challenge your muscles, when you don't push your strength, when you avoid resistance, your body gets a very different message. We're done here. And so slowly and silently, it lets go of what isn't being used. You don't notice it all at once. It's gradual. A little less strength getting out of a chair, a little more effort carrying groceries, that slight instability on stairs that didn't used to be there. That's your body asking, are we still doing this? And when you don't answer with action, your body answers for you. No. Shut it down. But the moment you reintroduce resistance, the moment you show your body that strength is still a requirement, everything changes. Your brain reactivates pathways to muscle fibers. Your mitochondria, the energy centers of your cells, begin to multiply. Your bones respond to loading and get denser. Your posture improves. Your balance sharpens. Even your mental clarity levels up. Because strength isn't just about lifting things. It's about sending power back into your entire system. Think of it like this. Your muscles are the power lines of your body. They carry energy. They stabilize your joints. They protect you from injury. They allow you to move through the world with confidence and control. And those power lines don't suddenly become obsolete because you've crossed into a new decade of life. They only go offline when you stop plugging in. I want you to remember this. Your body's potential doesn't vanish. It goes dormant. And you have the power to wake it up again. But it requires a shift in mindset. It means refusing to believe the old story that getting older means getting weaker. It means no longer looking at a weight rack or a movement program and thinking, it's not for me anymore. Because if you can move, you can improve. If you can lift even your own body weight, you can build strength. If you can show up imperfect, inconsistent, even a little intimidated, and do one small thing to challenge your body, that's the beginning of change. And don't confuse effort with punishment. This isn't about suffering through workouts or crushing yourself with impossible routines. It's about stimulus. It's about giving your body a clear, consistent message that strength is required, that you are not done growing, that you expect more, and your body will rise to meet that expectation. That might mean body weight squats in your living room, resistance bands a few times a week, climbing stairs, taking a loaded walk, lifting weights that make you struggle on the final few reps. It doesn't have to look impressive. It just has to be honest. Real effort over time changes everything. And when you make that commitment, something powerful happens. Your body starts to remember. You feel more energy during the day. You sleep better at night. You stand taller. You think sharper. You carry yourself differently, and you begin to rebuild the trust between your mind and your body. A trust that may have been broken by years of sitting, avoiding, and quietly slipping into weakness. That's what makes this shift so transformative. It's not just about muscle. It's about identity. It's about reclaiming the version of yourself that still wants to move through life with energy, with fire, with purpose. So if you've believed that your strength is gone, I'm here to tell you it's not. It's dormant, waiting, ready. And it's time to stop waiting for the right age or the perfect time or for motivation to just magically appear. None of that's coming. What's coming is the result of what you do next. You can absolutely build muscle at any age. You can absolutely regain strength, function, and vitality, but only if you're willing to let go of the belief that time is your enemy. Time isn't the problem, inaction is. So stop wondering what would happen if you tried. Stop assuming you're too late. You're not. You're right on time, as long as you start now. Let's step back and talk about something that most people overlook when it comes to muscle: food. It's easy to focus on the workouts, the weights, the movement, and yes, all of that is critical, but without the right fuel, without the right building blocks, your body cannot build or even maintain muscle. It doesn't matter how hard you train, how consistent you are. If the foundation is missing, the structure can't hold. And that foundation is nutrition. Now, here's the key point people miss. Your body doesn't build muscle just because you lifted a weight, that workout you did. It's a signal, it's a message telling your body, hey, we need to be stronger. But the actual building, that happens after, it happens when you're resting, and most importantly, it happens when you feed your body the right materials. Your muscles are made of protein. That's the raw material your body uses to repair damaged muscle fibers and to grow new ones. When you strength train, you create tiny micro tears in your muscle tissue, which is a good thing, it's the trigger. But if your body doesn't have enough amino acids, the building blocks of protein, those tears don't get repaired properly. And if they don't get repaired, you don't grow. In fact, you may even lose more muscle, especially as you age. So when we talk about nutrition, we're not talking about dieting. We're not talking about counting calories or chasing weight loss for the sake of aesthetics. We're talking about giving your body the essential inputs it needs to perform and adapt. Because food isn't just fuel, it's instruction. What you eat literally tells your body what to do. And if the instruction is, we're not getting enough to support muscle, then your body starts pooling resources from places it shouldn't. It breaks down muscle tissue, it slows your metabolism, it shifts into conservation mode. That's not aging, that's undernourishment, that's protein deficiency. That's a body reacting to a lack of support, not a lack of potential. What's important to understand is that protein requirements actually increase as you get older, not decrease. Most people are eating less protein when they should be eating more. The older you get, the less efficient your body becomes at using dietary protein to stimulate muscle growth, a phenomenon called anabolic resistance. So to overcome that resistance, you need a higher intake. You need to make protein the centerpiece of your meals, not the afterthought. Now, I'm not saying you have to live on grilled chicken and boiled eggs, but you do need to make sure you're getting a high quality source of protein with every single meal, whether that's animal-based like meat, fish, eggs, or plant-based options like lentils, tofu, quinoa. What matters most is that the total daily intake is enough to meet your body's demand for recovery and adaptation. And don't make the mistake of thinking one protein shake a day is going to cut it. It's about consistency throughout the day. Ideally, you want to aim for 20 to 40 grams of protein per meal, spaced out evenly to maintain a steady stream of amino acids in your bloodstream. That way, your body is always in a position to repair and build. But protein is just the start. Muscle growth also depends on overall energy availability, meaning you need enough calories coming in to support training and recovery. If you're under eating, even with good protein levels, your body will prioritize survival, not growth. Is going to hold back on building new tissue because it doesn't believe it has the resources to maintain it. So don't fall into the trap of eating like a bird and training like an athlete. That's a mismatch. It doesn't work. Micronutrients play a role too. Magnesium, zinc, vitamin D, B vitamins, all of these are involved in muscle function, energy metabolism, and recovery. And where do we get those? From whole foods, from vegetables, nuts, seeds, fruits, and high quality proteins, from variety, from color on your plate. Because Training breaks your body down, nutrition builds it back up. One without the other is like trying to build a house without bricks. Now, let's bring this back to reality. Most people are not tracking their protein. They're not thinking about what their breakfast is doing for their muscle health. They're skipping meals, grabbing fast carbs, and then wondering why their energy is low, why they're getting weaker, why their workouts aren't producing results. That's not failure. That's just lack of information. But now you have that information. Let me paint a clear picture. If you train consistently, but your nutrition is weak, you'll plateau. You'll hit a wall. You'll maybe feel sore all the time, or worse, start to lose strength instead of gaining it. That's because you're asking your body to adapt to stress, but you're not giving it what it needs to actually do that. You're placing demands without support. Eventually, the system breaks down. But when you align your training with strong nutrition, that's when the results start to multiply. Recovery improves, strength increases, your joints feel better, you move more confidently, your metabolism revs up. You burn fat more efficiently, you sleep deeper. Your body thanks you because it has what it needs to support the life you're trying to build. This is not about being perfect. It's about being intentional. It's about making choices that match your goals. If your goal is to stay strong, maintain muscle, feel capable, then your nutrition has to reflect that. Every bite of food is a message to your body. Make sure that message says, I'm here to grow, to heal, to improve. And here's something else to remember. Food is not the enemy. It's your greatest ally. Don't fear eating. Don't fear carbs. Don't fear fat. Don't fear protein. Fear not fueling your goals. Fear waking up one day unable to do what you used to, not because you aged out of strength, but because you underfed your potential. We don't rise to our goals. We fall to the level of our habits. And if your habit is under-eating or eating poorly or neglecting your protein and nutrients, then no amount of training will get you where you want to go. You have to build both sides of the equation, the movement and the fuel, because muscle loss isn't just about what you're not lifting. It's also about what you're not eating. People often think that building muscle or preserving strength requires massive lifestyle changes, complex gym routines, or hours of sweating every day. They picture elite athletes or fitness influencers with perfectly planned regimens, strict diets, and endless discipline. And when they compare that image to their own busy lives, working, parenting, aging, they feel overwhelmed. They assume that if they can't do it all, it's not worth doing anything. But that's one of the biggest misconceptions out there. Because the truth is, it's not the big dramatic changes that transform your health. It's the small, consistent daily habits, the little things you do every single day that add up and define your physical future. Muscle isn't built in one intense session. It's built slowly, gradually, repeatedly through repetition of movement and effort. And most of that doesn't happen in gyms with heavy weights. It happens in your home, your walk, your choices, the details of your daily routine. You don't need a perfect plan. You need consistent motion. Think about it like this. Every time you use your body with purpose, every time you take the stairs instead of the elevator, every time you stand up instead of sitting a little longer, every time you carry groceries instead of pushing a cart, you're telling your muscles, I still need you. And that signal matters. It's not glamorous. It doesn't always look impressive, but biologically, your body is listening. It's paying attention to every signal and responding accordingly. You might not think a 10-minute walk after dinner makes a difference, or that 5 bodyweight squats before brushing your teeth will matter in the long run. But let me tell you something clearly. Those small, seemingly insignificant acts compound. They send a message of strength, of engagement, of demand. And over time, those micro signals become macro results. The beauty of muscle is that it's responsive. It doesn't care if you're in a high-tech gym or your living room. What it cares about is resistance, effort, and frequency. You don't need fancy machines. You need to move your body against something. That could be your own body weight. That could be a heavy backpack. It's about stress, challenge, slight overload, and then repeating that challenge regularly. But here's the part most people miss. Consistency beats intensity. A massive workout once a week won't do nearly as much as a simple 20-minute movement practice every day. Muscles grow and adapt when they're asked to perform regularly, not violently, not perfectly, just regularly. That's how your nervous system learns. That's how your joints stabilize. That's how your posture improves. And that's how you regain control of your physicality through simple, steady repetition. You don't need to run marathons. You need to walk daily. You don't need to lift heavy weights. You need to lift something regularly. You don't need to train like a professional athlete. You need to train like a functional human. Someone who wants to carry their own weight, open doors with confidence, stand tall without pain, and move through life with power instead of hesitation. The barrier is not time. The barrier is belief. Most people believe they need an hour to work out. So if they don't have an hour, they do nothing. But if I told you that 10 minutes of consistent movement a day, a few push-ups, some squats, a walk could change your life over the next year, would you still skip it? You see, small habits are powerful because they're doable. You don't burn out. You don't dread them. You can fit them into any schedule, anywhere, anytime. They don't require motivation. They require a decision, a simple decision. I move today, no matter what, no matter how much or how little. I move. This is where real transformation begins, not with motivation, but with ritual. You stack these little wins. One walk becomes two. One round of squats becomes a habit. Your balance improves. Your knees ache less. You feel stronger carrying a bag. Suddenly, movement becomes part of your identity, not a chore you're trying to squeeze in. You begin to notice something even deeper, a shift in the way you experience your body. You're more connected. You stand taller. You're more aware of how you move, how you breathe, how you rest. You begin to feel momentum, and that momentum builds confidence. That confidence builds consistency, and consistency, that builds muscle. You won't always see results overnight. That's the tricky part. We live in a world that wants instant gratification, and the body doesn't work that way. It's more subtle. But make no mistake, it's happening. Your muscles are responding. Your bones are adapting. Your coordination is improving. But it takes trust. Trust that small things done with intent lead to big change. You don't need perfection. You need progress. You need to show up even when it's inconvenient. Even when you're tired, even when you're not sure it's working, because that's how resilience is built. Not through the big moments, but through the quiet ones. The mornings you move even when no one's watching. The nights you stretch before sleep instead of scrolling. The days you decide to walk instead of drive. Those are the actions that rewrite your biology. Those are the actions that keep muscle alive. So many people wait for motivation. But motivation is a spark, it fades. What you need is structure. You need simple, repeatable habits that anchor your day. A set of movements, a time of day, a reminder, something that grounds you in the intention to keep your body active, because a body in motion stays in motion. And once that becomes who you are, everything shifts. The mistake people make is overestimating what they need to start and underestimating what they gain by starting small. If you knew that 5 minutes of daily effort could keep you out of a wheelchair 20 years from now, would you do it? If you knew that maintaining muscle through small habits could give you 10 more years of mobility, of independence, of freedom, would it be worth it? Because that's what's on the line. This isn't about vanity. This is about function, quality of life, longevity. And you don't win those things with occasional intensity. You win them with daily intention. So move today, even if it's small, especially if it's small. That's how real strength begins. Not in a gym, not in a perfect plan, but in your daily decisions. Because every step, every rep, every choice to move is a vote for your future. And those votes over time become your reality. So when we step back and really look at it, muscle loss isn't age. It's not genetics, and it's not some unavoidable decline. It's what you're not doing. It's the movement you're skipping, the protein you're not eating, the effort you're avoiding, and the habits you're not building. But the good news is that means you have control. Every day is a new opportunity to send your body the right signal, to move, to fuel, to grow, to reclaim strength. You're not too old. You're not too late. You're just one decision away from starting